Welcome to Logic. This is one of my favorite topics here in the Introduction to Philosophy course. You can take a whole class on it here at Lincoln Land, and I would highly recommend it if you find this interesting. It basically is the study of how we take apart arguments, how we can better make our point, and how we can better evaluate the other points other people are making. And so I really like the topic. It's fun, it's interesting. We're going to do a few just terminology things and a few of the real basic ideas of how we begin to take apart arguments. And we won't get into it very deep or very technical, but I do enjoy just sort of, getting down to saying, like, think about when you're giving an argument, when you're talking, that you evaluate your points and you make your points factual and you look at what other people are saying. Now, logic in philosophy is in some ways both a tool as well as an area of study. Some philosophers spend their entire career studying logic and, basically as logicians, and they evaluate, better ways to conduct logic. It's very mathematical in that regard, and trying to solve logic problems. Just as a mathematician might spend their career trying to solve mathematical problems. Now, with that said, it's also in a large way of how we communicate. It's our language in philosophy. As a matter of fact, a lot of times if you get a PhD in philosophy, or a PhD in anything, you're required to get a language or learn a language. So, for example, if you were doing, World War II history, you would probably need to learn German or Italian, depending upon how you focus, or Russian, depending on what focus in that war you had, or Japanese. And so the same thing is true in philosophy, that if you were studying a German philosopher, or that was your area of expertise, you'd probably want to learn German. Well, some philosophy programs, if you do it, you can take logic as your language, so you can pass competency in logic, and you can actually be that can suffice for your language requirements. It's sort of an interesting thing, but to a large degree, that is the language, it is the way we communicate, is being able to do it. Now, we won't get into the more language level of it. We won't get that technical. We're just going to do a real brief primer. There are two parts we're going to look at. One of them is going to be evaluating arguments, and basically what that's going to be is sort of saying, when you make an argument, you need to be able to look and say, what are the points the person's making? What are their premises? And try to evaluate those and avoid offering opinion and being able to take the argument apart. And so we're going to learn basically how we break an argument down into the points and do a basic look at, the difference between factual and types of factual statements and opinion statements. And that'll be an important thing, is to distinguish those. The other thing we'll look at are fallacies. And fallacies are essentially errors in reasoning, or things that misguide us. And we will look at 8 fallacies during this class. There's a lot of fallacies, and if you took a logic class, we usually do 25 to 30 of them. Yeah, probably around that many. And so, you can kind of get an idea that, we're going to do just sort of a brief look at a few of these, and sort of ones that are very common. And they're really useful because you'll see that oftentimes you've heard these, you've seen people use them, you've used them yourself, and they're sort of something we try to avoid in logic. And so those are the two parts to this section, and I hope you enjoy it.